So the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, actually just issued an arrest warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as the Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, for war crimes committed in Gaza. Now, this has obviously led to predictable outrage from the Americans and the Europeans, as well as the Israelis. But a lot of these European leaders are stuck in a difficult position because they're trying to use the same International Criminal Court, which is The Hague, by the way, which is located in the Netherlands. The ICC actually focuses on prosecuting war criminals. It focuses on prosecuting human beings, whereas the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, is basically used between different nations who have disputes with each other. So when nations want to sue other nations, they use the ICJ, but the ICC is the International Criminal Court, and it's usually used against actual leaders. Now, this is the first time we've seen Israeli leaders actually having an arrest warrant used against them. But the problem is that the Europeans don't actually want to be put in this position because they're trying to arrest Vladimir Putin for war crimes committed in Ukraine. That's the reality. So the Europeans understand is that they actually want to maintain the legitimacy of The Hague. They want to maintain its credibility. And when you have the Americans and the Israelis threatening to sanction the ICC, the Americans are talking about sanctioning it, arresting people who are part of the ICC, removing their funding. What it tells you is that although the Americans spit in the face of the International Criminal Court, the Europeans want to maintain the facade of having international legitimacy, institutions, and the post-1945 rules-based international order, right? Now, the Americans used to uphold it. I mean, at least they used to pretend to uphold it. But in recent years, they've been a lot more mask off. And the last 14 months in Gaza has completely ripped the mask off entirely, right? For people who are laymen. So people who have been paying attention for years, they've been knowing that the United States has always been like this. But when it comes to people who are kind of new to this politics thing, yes, this is sort of an eye-opening experience. And now the legitimacy of the International Criminal Court, the legitimacy of the UN, of the international community, of liberalism itself has actually been called into question. So now we're in a position where even though Benjamin Netanyahu likely will never see a day in prison, he's never going to be arrested by the International Criminal Court, the idea is that the legitimacy of these institutions was undermined. And this is a good thing from the standpoint of the Muslims, because as a Muslim, we don't accept these international institutions. We don't accept their legitimacy. We want what Allah has legislated. We want Islamic law, and we want justice based on Islamic principles. We don't really care about what some guys in The Hague have to say, some judges. At the end of the day, they're human beings and they're legislating by laws that are not written by the creator of the universe. So the benefit of what we're seeing with the ICC and the prosecutions against Israel is not because we actually think Israel will ever actually be arrested, Israeli leaders will actually be arrested. The benefit is that we want to other people who are laymen, people who might be a little bit naive. We want them to wake up and see that this whole international rules-based order is a complete facade. The world is a jungle. Nobody is in charge. There are no rules, and might makes right, at least from a global perspective. So Muslims need to wake up to this reality. And, listing off these laws, the Geneva Convention, it's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to benefit you. It's not going to protect you. It hasn't protected the people of Gaza. So I would advise them to just kind of lay down on that and just kind of return to, having a saner outlook on how the world works, right? The Americans can see it. The Israelis can see it. They understand the world is run by power. So Muslims should see it as well. It's very important that they understand this. But that's all I have to say on the matter. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I hope you have a good day.